Oh, it's on. It's on.
Kev, you need to tune up.
Okay. Oh, la 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 la. Oh.
That's it. Kev's in tune.
I'm in tune.
What are we going to do first?
I don't know. Which one do we do first?
You don't seem very enthusiastic about this, Kev. For some reason.
I think Terra. We need to do Terra.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, this one I couldn't get it on CD. It was just silly prices, and it wasn't. It was from dodgy sellers and all the rest of it.
So what did you do?
And this, I haven't got it on CD. I had to listen to it on Spotify.
On Spotify?
Yeah, you can get the vinyl. I don't want the pissing vinyl. I don't do that. I'm worried about CDs.
You think they're disappearing?
Yeah, I think 10 years ago I could have got that album.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Without paying 20 quid.
Football started. Lovely. Right.
A man has kicked the ball. Oh,
Go.
And he has also kicked the ball. Sorry. Okay. Terra. 77. Their 7th album, including the Peter Simfield vocal albums, which we will never speak of. So watch out for those and avoid them. 7 songs, 41 minutes. There's technically no epics. Nothing over 10 minutes anyway. I think it's like a couple of 8-minute things. So, you know, it is the correct length. 41 minutes is the exact length of an album. That's how long music is. It's 41 minutes. Stylistically, this is actually a huge change. This is why we did it instead of just doing the first 3 albums, because they're all the same style. You could chop and change the songs, you know. So we would have had zero to say. Although we have really struggled with Banco. I don't know why. It's great, and that's it. And we've done that. We talked about that type of music. Lots of repeating patterns. It's a very different listening experience. It's a lot easier. It's not what I was expecting. I mean, often, you know, the orchestral programs are often quite dissonant deliberately, and because they're trying to sort of tip the balance of bland orchestral music to make it go, you know. There's nothing like Zappa orchestral stuff on here. This is very tasteful and good, and there's actually a jazz element in there as well. I say light jazz. I don't mean just jazz. Just call it jazz. And like an acoustic version of like 1980 Tangerine Dream. In that it's a not ambient, but it's a repeated soft listening experience rather than a what's happening now. Oh my god. You know, there's none of that. So that's cool. It's different. Orchestra.
Is that all you've got to say about it?
Pretty much. But I'll slow the video down slightly so it'll be a bit longer.
So my experience of Italian music is very limited. So there's opera, which my dad used to listen to incessantly, and I flipping hate it. I've got a question, Kev. Are we allowed to swear on this channel now?
I think we have lots. I have.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of... I used to sort of think...
Yeah,
well,
we went through a phase of
4 months I'm getting married, yeah. So there was I made a decision very early on that I had to sort of moderate what I said on the video in case Sarah's family watched it. I didn't want them to know. I didn't want them to know what. So I'm hoping, you know, it's 4 or 5 years. It's 5th year. This is. Flip. That means we've been making videos for over 5 years.
Yeah,
that's mad.
I think it's 2013.
That's mad. I'm hoping in that time, if they're going to check me out on YouTube, that's done, and the chances of them watching this video are like that big. And if they do watch it, too late.
Yeah,
the venue's booked.
Sorry. Yeah, you're already booked.
The ring's on the finger. You said yes. I could. Yeah. So opera is bloody boring. It's completely.
It's making me cry now.
Oh, I used to hate it.
Boring.
It's so boring. PFM, which in fairness I actually bloody loved.
Yeah.
And when we went to Ravello last year, lovely part of the Amalfi Coast, Ravello.
Isn't Italy amazing?
That part of Italy, yeah. I mean, I've only ever been to the Rome area, or about an hour north of Rome, and the Amalfi Coast. and I have to admit I really do like it.
I've been to a few different places and it was all awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a music performance on there, and it was piano solo. Guy from some conservatory was coming, and he was going to play Rhapsody in Blue.
Oh, very nice.
So Sarah was like, "We've got to go see this. I bloody love Rhapsody in Blue," and yeah, very exciting. And it was perfect. It was like, if you don't know Amalfi's like, it was a major port many hundreds of years ago, but obviously it's not now. But it means there's lots of historic buildings around, and it's very mountainous. So you got lots of narrow passages, old ancient narrow passages with steps, stuff like that. So it's quite a chore to get around, but it's got a really nice ambience. Yeah, so we went to this musical. It was quite small. I think there was only about 50 of us there, down this thing, and there was bats flying around in the air, and there's a sign outside saying, "Oh, there may be bats inside," and stuff. I bloody love bats. I do. Yeah, I mean, this is me. This is Rhapsody in Blue and bats, and it was just awesome. Yeah. Anyway. So, I mean, this was a pianist who hadn't quite made his name yet. I think he was studying at Conservatory. He looked quite young. And he was going around, doing these performances for tourists and stuff like that, which is, quite enterprising. But it does mean we had to sit through all this, like, relatively obscure Chopin and Bach, that obviously he was training for his exams or wherever, the conservatory, which was, I'd sit through it. It was nice. I'd be impressed with the skill, listen to it. But things got really weird, when he finished his first piece, and everyone started clapping, and he stood up and walked out the room. And we were like...
Oh, did they applaud at the wrong time?
I don't know what the hell was going on.
Was it like when he won movement or something?
I sort of watched it. And some people can say things with their walk.
Yeah.
He had this swagger about him, like,
In that case...
You ain't guys pay enough to sit in a room with me between songs. So he marched out for about 30 seconds.
Oh, see?
And then he walked back in. And
between each song?
And we're all looking round, and there's a sort of like a collective sort of, you could almost feel it in the air. It was sort of like, what a doofus. I mean, it was an act of such brazen ego, that it actually, it kind it changed the atmosphere, and it undermined what he had just done.
Right, yeah.
And ego can be quite corrosive to music in that sense, which is strange, because actually a lot of our best loved performers that we cover, like from the 70s and 60s, they have tremendous egos,
often it's an act to cover the opposite, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, but this guy generally had an ego thing, which kind of brings me to prog, really. There is embedded in prog, or specifically not specifically UK prog, because I'm presuming you would say the inception was the UK of prog,
probably,
or it may be because we were the biggest sort of popular music
we had popular
nation
music at the time,
so whatever that there is an ego issue that I think I've bumped into over the years doing these videos with John Anderson, and even Steve Hackett, who doesn't come across as a particularly egotistical guy.
Quite po-faced, though, I suppose. Yeah.
But when he says that line in Melody Maker that you used to put, what was it, Kev?
Break down the barriers of music.
You've got to have a certain amount of front to pull this off, and quite often have they got the skill to pull it off? Really?
Often not. Usually not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in ELP, maybe there is something there. These guys are very skillful guys, and they can pull it off. But I mean, to say you're going to break down the barriers of music, or you're going to, do an album production of Siddhartha or wherever it is, it's a fine line between doing
the Bible.
Yeah, I almost get the sense, sort of like, it's a bit like. The Marvel movies, they stop fanning around with these bloody Infinity Stones, which bored me
Nobody
about
cares.
bored me about 50 and said, okay, what we're going to do now? We're going to have a new theme. We're going to do a 10-part extended study into the philosophy of Nietzsche. Yeah, okay, mate.
No, it is a thing that nobody's done that. No one's actually gone that far.
Yeah.
Because obviously I imagine a lot of prog bands, yes, go down this road, yes. Any band, yes. Where they're on a road and they're thinking, oh, imagine what the music we're going to make. We're going to do that. It's going to be a 10-part epic thing about Nietzsche. But they never get there. It's a stupid idea.
Because it's really hard.
Yeah, but the music they make on the journey is that's what it's about.
Yeah. But we know, we sort of know why it happened, or we know why prog happened. We got a few angry comments last week. I mean, you're going to see this in a few weeks, so it won't be as fresh to you. But I mean,
the blandometer.
The blandometer really.
We thought it was really funny.
Yeah,
people were really angry.
People got upset.
Yeah,
free over free. All the terrible things I've said about bands, and we say free's good, but it's just a bit.
What was it you said about? I mean, Roy Wood. You said it was a vacuum cleaner being left on for 50 years. We said free. It was a bit boring.
Yeah. People got really upset about it.
We were hoping people would really like it and suggest other bands. I've kept the blandometer. I don't think anyone wants it.
Yeah, madness. But yeah, the way music has gone, or the way it seems to have moved, is sort of like we live in this massive universe. I've actually written it down here. The estimated volume of the universe is 4 times 10 to the 32 cubic light years.
Bow.
That's a big number, yeah. That's a big space. And we've sort of condensed it down to, musically, 3 or 4 chords, 1 time signature. We've come up with a sort of platonic form of the band, a drummer, guitarist, bass player, and vocalist, and that's the confines of music, and
if you do anything else, what are you doing?
And that's probably why we're interested in prog. It's sort of
it's not that prog is complicated, it's that most music is really sorry most rock music is really simplistic. That's what it's about. So
yeah.
What does it have to be?
I mean, the blues form is a very, very good form. There's a reason why it's inspired so much music, is because it's actually quite catchy. There is something fundamental about it.
Yes.
But there's only so many times you can play a blues song or listen to a blues song. And things have got even worse because now we've invented algorithms that take it to an even bigger extreme. We've got Amazon, Google, Facebook, YouTube.
Yes.
Analyze what you like and just serve you tons and tons of what you already like.
Yeah, so you end up in a musical bubble.
Yeah,
just like everything else.
I mean, it's sort of like taken everything sort of out of it.
Yeah, the Explore.
Yeah,
it should be better now. But the Explore in HMV was better.
Yeah.
Because you'd look at what's the name of that band, what's that, and it's a totally different type of music that you'd never.
And that's why covers were important, wasn't it? Because a cover could actually sell you a new band.
Or what's that terrible cover?
Oh, that's all right.
It sounds all right.
So yeah, I mean these companies basically they've stripped any sense of right and wrong out of it. They've stripped any sort of sense of good and bad. It's just all
yours.
Homogeneity. We live in a sort of artistically, we've boiled it down to this flaccid, desert-like universe where everything's the same for miles and miles around, and it's just really, really boring.
Yes.
So prog is important.
Yes.
On that front, yeah.
Yes. That's the thing. Is you read about prog, you think, whoa, and then you listen to bands, and you think, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It's not like extreme bow out there. Often it's just they're doing something interesting. It's not just the same.
But I mean, I have been sort of considering this quite recently, quite deeply. Are things that different? I mean, I used to get quite motivated by things, by films, by paintings, by books, by music, by television, and is it me? Are things really that different, or is it me? Am I sort of
that's an age thing. Your emotional response to music will be greater when you're younger. Your ability to make music will be greater when you're older. That's just life. That's just the way it is. You'll never feel like you felt when you first heard Ride the Lightning. And you listen to it now and you think, it's very good, but it's also kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And, you can't.
Well, I mean that's the problem. You So we did a chat I think it was last week. I don't know if it's gone out yet. Where I was moaning about the television and the way it makes you feel like that.
It was Gervais.
I was talking about a TV series on the BBC about internal affairs in police, and I can't remember what it's called. It's actually really
horrible.
It is a really popular series. It's just started.
Bad stuff happens.
And I was sat there. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I turned the TV off for dinner. Sarah likes to watch TV while eating dinner. I hate it, but it was off. And then, Sam, I've just remembered the name of the show. We sat there, we finished dinner, just say, Sam, can I put Line of Duty on? And I'm like,
oh God.
I said, yeah, you can put it on, but don't make me watch it. But who's going to explain it to me? I just think...
You've got to watch the story for me.
It is a very well-written TV show, but I just have no interest. It makes me feel physically like, oh, God, I got to watch this.
This person's betrayed this other person, and he's going to die. He's in hospital, and this bad thing happened.
I'm sat there watching this thinking, am I alive?
This is horrible.
What? I was trying to think of something that's actually motivated me, recently. There's nothing on TV I want to watch. The cinema list. We could have gone to the cinema the other night. There's nothing exciting.
Fucking superhero movies.
Put Netflix on and I'm scrolling for hours. Nothing.
I quite enjoy that scrolling.
I've got Spotify. Limitless music.
Yeah. And
again, I can never find anything. I'm thinking, I think it comes from. So I mean, this is quite a harsh thing that I'm going to say, but if you've ever seen anyone with Alzheimer's or that kind of degenerative thing, they sort of if the TV's on, they just kind of sit there. They don't.
Yeah, they
can't follow the plot.
Yeah.
And they're not interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's on.
They lose their interest, and it's just on. And I kind of feel like that, And there is a history of it in the family. I sometimes think, well, maybe I'm getting it. Maybe it's the start of it, in early. Because there's nothing out there that actually sort of inspires me. That I want to get. I just sit there thinking, am I alive inside? And then I start to think, actually, I start thinking about this type of thing, about the way we're condensing down the universe. And I think, am I alive inside? Am I really that bothered if I'm not? It's quite harsh.
Everyone else is dead. Everyone else is dead. Boring.
But then, there's people saying Sam was apathetic, his usual apathetic self, with the blandometer. Yeah,
that's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah. But every now and again, Kev suggests we listen to an album, and I realise I'm alive inside. I am still alive. There is still life in me yet. And,
occasionally happens.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
Oh, okay.
If I could sort of say what is me musically, this is the album.
Goodness me.
It is a sort of mix of. It has very classical sensibilities, and it is incredibly expressive without having the over-the-top Italian sort of ego about it. Maybe they are incredibly egotistical, but it doesn't come across in the music.
Yeah, it doesn't have the what's the word? The showmanship.
So if you made me listen to some more ELP, I would probably have a mini panic attack. And this was music that specifically set out to raise the piano as a on a level with the guitar.
There's a thing there. Exactly. Yeah, push it to a rock thing. And these guys have done it.
I think.
better than ELP.
Yeah, better than ELP. But this is Banco taking a huge steamy turd on ELP, saying,
"Well, yeah, it's the same year.
Yeah,
it's the same year as Works. It's way better than Works.
This is how you do it. There is almost a reservedness about it. It's sort of like, this is how you do it, but we don't really know that's what's going on here. We're just making our music, and we're going to make it sound good, and
this is what we're making today.
This is what we're making today, and it sounds absolutely awesome. It is. It's interesting without being jarring. It is just the right balance of everything, really. This is the best Banco album that we've done.
Goodness me. Right. Because, it doesn't have the energy of youth. It does tie into everything you just said, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is the mature one. I don't like it as much. I was going to say there's a conservatism. It's like their default position has returned. This is what they naturally are, actually. And that doesn't excite me as much as and it's not like there isn't any because there is it track 5? The one with a really long name. It's got some awesome bit of piano at the start, and that's frightening and amazing, but it's not there's very little bombast. I don't think bombast is the right word, but it doesn't do the prog thing in that sense, does it? That's why it's more. It's not ambient, but it's repeating mantras, and it's tasteful mood changes. It is mood music, isn't it?
I think what it is I'm getting sick of UK prog.
That's why we couldn't review it.
I'm getting a bit hostile to it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, those first 2 albums, great albums, but we reviewed that. We know that. We've done it before.
Well, I'm thinking back to Magma and PFM.
Magma.
I mean, that is truly. I honestly. So, if I was to compare it to Frank Zappa's, there is a similarity there in the type of thing they're attempting. There's a definite link with the orchestra, classical sort of thing.
Yeah. And jazz.
Jazz.
It's interesting.
And I prefer this Banco album to most of Frank Zappa. And I've actually found some albums I actually quite like by Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
And we're going to see some Zappa, aren't we?
We are. We're going to see World of Zappa. It's the one with the hologram.
Yeah.
In May. So we'll definitely talk about that.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. But I prefer this simply because I think the composition's better. I think the composition's more interesting and not so in your face. I think there's a technical which ties into prog. There's an element of Zappa which is a technical exercise.
Yes.
Which is impressive. But I do think there's a sort of you pay a price for that in the sense that the music isn't. It's something else.
It's sit in a certain when he says, well, what about if we do that? And that's ridiculous. What will we do that? And this doesn't do that.
Yeah. Which I think is the perfect balance. So for me, this is the best thing we reviewed in a long, long time.
Okay, the first PFM album or this?
That is a really good question. Now I'm drawn to this simply because I've listened to it so recent. I've just listened to it.
Yeah. You have to ask you again in a few months.
Yeah, that might be a good. I do remember being blown away by PFM actually.
Yeah, that's the thing about that first PFM album was that I had Pura and Amico, the second album, for 15 years, and I really liked it. But then when I got that first album, it was like, oh, holy crap! It's like I hadn't noticed. That was interesting.
Right.
But so for me, it's definitely more conservative. It's accomplished. It's a really good album. It doesn't have the excitement. There is a rock music thing I like, which is not on this album. That's what it is, I think. This could be, Philip Glass or something. It's not like Philip Glass, but it is conservatory music, almost completely new, isn't it? The classical thing in there there's more of that than the rock. There's a band there. I mean, there is a little bit of amazing synchronized. They're synchronized with the orchestra drums, and you can tell they just about do it. It must have been incredibly difficult. It almost doesn't keep really syncopated. I think that's track 3. I think it's very difficult. I'm not going to say the names of the songs, are we? But yeah, the previous album was a film soundtrack, and I thought this was it. When I put it on, I thought, oh yeah, this is a film soundtrack because it's mood music and all that. So yeah, it's good. Repeating patterns and all that. It's 4 eggs for me.
6 egg album for me.
Boom!
Wow. First week of listening, I've rated something at 6 eggs. When have I ever done that?
Didn't you? Okay.
Maybe PFM. Maybe Sell in England. Yeah.
And Dark Side.
Ooh.
And The Wall.
You seen that? Sorry.
The Tick. Season 2. We were saying there's no something on TV. Yeah, The Tick's back on. Peter Serafinowicz.
This is the best week ever.
Why isn't Peter Serafinowicz more famous? Why isn't he like a massive movie star? He can be in movies when he wants.
Yeah, he's in John Wick 2, isn't he? And everyone says, oh man, he's great in that.
But he's just a supporting character.
He is a supporting character.
He's a genius.
He is.
Is he not more famous?
I think he's a bit lazy. That's the only thing I can think.
He found secret stuff. He's got the meaning of life or something.
Yeah. I mean, if you could do the odd movie here and there, I mean, that's a pretty good living.
Exactly.
And you don't have to deal with all the
nonsense,
all the trappings.
I bet he's cracked it, hasn't he? He's figured it out. Yeah, he lives in the UK and all the rest of it. Right. He doesn't live in LA with a masseuse.
Yeah.
His own private psychologist. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Terra.
Yeah.
I know what's next. We've already recorded it. It's heavy music next. Oh.